Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
For some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs, welcome to the Monday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Jimmy Ott, Max Gotro, Jordan Kitchens, Pride of Holy Cross, back in the studio. Is that right?
My favorite Holy Cross Tiger.
Well, maybe he's yours favorite. Maybe I know somebody else from Holy Cross. Maybe I can just call him the Pride of Holy Cross. Our favorite Holy Cross Crusader.
The new sort of mid-city Holy Cross campus.
All right.
He's not really from a parish.
Modern day Holy Cross. We're at Big Mike's in Denham Springs. Hope you had a great weekend as we get closer towards Christmas. Jimmy, did you enjoy the holiday weekend? The football / basketball
I wouldn't
weekend.
call it enjoy, Charlie. It's just some personal things, but no, we got through it. So a lot of great schedule for college basketball, and leave it up to LSU's basketball program to ruin the SEC party.
13-1 for the weekend.
I think so.
No, it was,
and they were in position to win too. They wilted first little run that SMU threw at them. So
it had some similarities to the Pitt game in that. That regard, in that halftime lead, and it went to pieces. The NFL card yesterday, the Saints drop a game by a point. Had some controversy at the end. Jaden Daniels back in the Superdome. Certainly
played well.
He did. He made some plays that just very few quarterbacks can make to buy himself the amount of time.
Yesterday,
the 8-second. That he bought on the touchdown to McLaurin, one of the two touchdowns to McLaurin. And he rushed for 66 yards. He threw another touchdown pass to McLaurin. He wasn't perfect. He missed a couple of long balls to McLaurin.
That was surprising.
Yeah.
Those
are passes
he rarely misses those.
He usually throws that ball well. He missed a couple. He was sacked officially 8 times, although a couple of those were runs right just shy of the line of scrimmage where he was scrambling out of bounds. But the Saints put a lot more pressure on him than I expected yesterday. Not just the sacks, but overall, Cam Jordan looked like he found the fountain of youth yesterday, and Chase Young. This was kind of what we expected. He had a strong preseason. Okay, he's finally healthy, and he's had his spots this year, but not nearly what we were hoping for after the strong preseason. He had a very good day yesterday. So they were able to put pressure on Daniels. Jake Haener was a mess in the first half, though he caught a little bit of bad luck early. His first third down completion was called back for a holding penalty. He had another ball that was dropped, but he was clearly ineffective in the first half. Give Darren Rizzi credit for making the move. Spencer Rattler injected some life into the offense. They scored on 4 drives that he was in the second half, and he got them down. And we can talk about the play that gets them down to the 1-yard line. And then inexplicably, the clock stops. And the Saints are afforded somewhere between 3 and 4 seconds. Would they have gotten up and gotten it off? If not,
nope.
I don't know. I don't think. But maybe, close. But that's an inexplicable. The NFL admitted the error after the game. Saints scored a touchdown. They had a 2-point conversion to win it. They miss, and Washington wins the game. Give me your take on the final sequence.
I couldn't believe it. You said stopped. I would call it a pause because it restarted. So you're like, what is it doing?
They gave him 4 seconds. They gave the Saints 4 seconds.
And that's when he snapped it, huh? Just under 4 seconds?
No, he snapped it with, it was.
There was 3 left at the end. It was about 3.5.
Okay,
something like that.
That was the difference.
Yeah, right.
And them getting what? Is that a local? Is that I would hope that's an NFL personnel guy.
They're
that's
trying
not some guy from the Irish Channel. Running the clock.
Wasn't Bill Vinovich, I can tell you that. Maybe they're trying to make up for the Nolan no call.
It's called a covering official,
game.
so it should be an NFL official.
Yeah.
What's he doing?
Making a mistake. a big
mistake. You got one job. I mean, what are you doing?
Well, how about
but no, that's you're done.
How about the on-field
You're done. You
officials?
do that.
The on-field officials missing the end of the third quarter for 4 seconds, and they get a free field goal out of it. Free field goal attempt.
Yeah, they get an extra. He missed it. Now, was he going through his full routine because he maybe knew that the clock had expired? But Rizzi makes a point. He says, if you give the guy essentially a warm-up kick, a lot more likely to make the second one. So I'm with him.
Rizzi, though, come on, man. I can listen to our argument either way on going for two, but and look, give him credit. I mean, for the last time we saw these two quarterbacks play, Haener looked a little bit more comfortable. How much distance? Not much, but he's been in the league a year longer, so he should be a little bit more affluent. But clearly, Rattler played, and he was struggling, and it made a difference in the game. It sparked the team. He gave him, and sitting young quarterbacks down for a little bit, it gives them perspective. Some come back the same old quarterback. Some come back with a little improvement. Bryce Young and Shane Rattler, but there's any doubt when they got in they were going to go for it, because go for it, man. Yeah, we're trying to win. We're aggressive. And it's just the antics on the sideline are just either staged or out of control. I mean, so can we put to rest about this guy possibly ripping off the interim tag and being a permanent coach? It's kind of a clown show to me.
I'll give him credit for having injected some life into this group. They were completely dead the last time
when you fire the coach, the attention's on you as a professional.
Yeah, the time the last time we saw them with Dennis Allen, they were at Carolina, and they were an absolute mess. Okay, so I give him credit for that. But did I ever think of him as the long-term coach? No.
Put your Gail Benson hat on. You're in that position.
I let him coach out the season and I hire somebody else.
Right. I mean, you're not giving him – I know you well enough. You're not giving him 1% chance.
No.
And it's just a sideshow. I mean, it's kind of – it's just where we are with this. We're back to the old Saints.
Maybe, Darren.
We give a crap about a meaningless game that's going to cost us some draft position, where the league just inexplicable pauses the clock to let you get one off. I mean, would they have gotten this playoff?
It would have been close.
No, I'm talking about where's the urgency?
It would have been really close.
Was it fourth down?
No, it wasn't fourth.
Okay, spike the ball, dude.
It would have been very close. It would have been very close to get up and spike the ball. It would have been very close. I didn't care if they won the game or not yesterday. I'd rather they lose, trying to make up draft position at this point. The bottom of the league right now is so bad. Okay, good luck trying to find a win for the Browns or the Giants.
Tennessee started out well yesterday.
Yeah, I thought about you yesterday when I saw that. Didn't last, of course. The Raiders haven't won a game the Falcons haven't won a game in a month, and they're a 6-point favorite tonight on the road against the Raiders. This is how bad the bottom of the league is. I don't know how much ground you're going to make up there.
They promoted their interim coach from last year.
Yeah, it didn't work. Yeah. It hasn't worked out all that well. So, look, if they make up some ground, great. If they don't, whatever. No, I never considered Rizzi a serious candidate for the job and still don't. They could have won yesterday, and I still wouldn't.
If they won, there'd be a certain sector of he might be the guy. And
I'll tell you that.
No. And thank goodness for that they did not make that 2-point conversion.
If the real jeopardy was if they had beaten the Rams. Because the Rams are hot right now. The Rams are playing good football right now. If they were tied in the fourth quarter.
Who knows if the Rams would have had this little surge if they don't, come back against the Saints.
Right.
Because the Saints should have had a bigger lead in that game in the first half.
So that game is tied in the fourth quarter. They lose. This game, you have a chance to win it in the fourth quarter. You lose. The Rams are a playoff team. The Commanders are hanging on right now. They're not playing nearly as well as they were a month and a half ago. But let's say if you have two fourth-quarter games that are what, and you make enough right calls that you beat two playoff teams, there would have been a lot more groundswell for him to get this job. Now, they lost both of those games, so there's not. But if they had won that Rams game and come into this thing with some momentum and beaten Washington on the last play of the game, the groundswell would be a lot harder right now. So
I'm at least
encouraged by
encouraged by what?
Encouraged by the fact that I don't think he's a serious candidate.
Okay, so you dodged a bullet yesterday then.
More the Rams game in my opinion, but
well,
yesterday a little bit.
The difference in the games was the Rams game. You really, I don't know if you want to go if there's a good term in between control and dominate. But the first half, you did not have as big of a lead as you should have or could have.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the Rams, the superior team, flipped it the second half, and they controlled or dominated the second half, and they won. Yesterday, you had no business being in that game. That would have been a flat out steal.
You were down 17.
You would have stolen that game from Washington. That's a young organization in their early stages, in their purge of getting rid of all that nastiness that they had from top to bottom in that organization. So they're still learning. I mean, they're a team that is a game ahead of the Rams for the last wild card spot, but nobody gives them a chance to make a run. But to get there, that would be a big deal, a big accomplishment for Washington.
I think the Rams are going to win that division based on what I saw in Seattle last night, especially with the Geno Smith.
Oh, Geno Smith looked great last night.
Well, and he's out. He looked. Now you're going to go with Sam Howell. The Niners are cooked. Arizona could win that division, but they need a little bit of.
Arizona got swept by Seattle the last 3 weeks, and that's kind of made it really tough for them. They were in great shape.
I think the Rams are going to win that division, and that would have been a really good win if they had. If they had done, Max, what would the? I don't know if you were watching win odds when Washington was up 17-0.
Ooh, I was not watching. I know.
What percentage would you have given them to win the game at 17-0?
You probably could have got the Saints at 20-1, 25-1, maybe probably higher at a point.
I do believe the Saints were plus 21 on the live line at one point.
They might have taken the money line off the board. It was probably so high.
Sure, the money line. Yeah, they were when it was 14-0. They were plus 21, and then by the time it got to 17, so a strong favorite to win at 17-0.
It's one of those box scores that kind of. I mean, the LSU Florida game. I think Florida was a deserving winner. This would have been the opposite, but Washington had the ball 41 minutes. To 19 time of possession. You hardly ever see that in the NFL where a team just completely owns the time of possession. But the Saints had their chances, and you got to give Rattler credit because he came back in and he looked poised to make a statement once again. So I'm a fan of Rattler. I think they should give him a chance the rest of the season. Just play it out and see what you got there. There's no reason to play Carr anymore. You're basically trying to lose anyway.
Well, they're not trying to lose. We're hoping that
the organization
they lose. You're right. I would like to see Rattler in the last 3 games, too. He's got a little bit more of a chance with the full offensive line. And, well, we don't know how bad Kamara's groin injury is. It's a tough 2 out of the 3 games are tough. I mean, Green Bay's playing really well right now. You got to go to Green Bay on a Monday night. It's going to be freezing-ass cold next week. And then the final week, you got to play the suddenly very hot, we're going to talk about them later, the Bucks, who are playing really good football right now. So you're probably going to lose at least 2. You might beat the Raiders right before Christmas because the Raiders are pathetic. But, it's not like you're going in this looking for playoff berth or anything like that. See what you got. And if he does play well enough, then you go into the offseason. You're stuck with Carr next year anyway. So send him to camp. Let's take a look at extended reps. Let's see if you really got anything here, because he's got a little something. I don't think he's going to be the long-term answer, but I've been wrong before. We'll see. We're here at Big Mike's. Tons of stuff going on here for the holidays tonight. It's Christmas trivia. They do different themed trivias on Monday night. Tonight it is Christmas trivia starting at 6:30. Tomorrow, bring the kids out for pictures with Santa and the Grinch starting at 6:30. So you can come out get your picture taken with Santa and the Grinch. Coming up this weekend on the 21st, the live music continues with Electric Rendezvous. That's coming up this weekend on Saturday night. And your holiday gift card specials here at Big Mike's: buy $25, get $5 off, $50 gets $10 off, and $100 gets $20 off on all of your holiday gift cards here at Big Mike's. One of the best happy hours anywhere here locally at Big Mike's. You're going to get real discounts on your drinks with $2.50 beer, both bottles and draft of your domestic beers, $4 wells and $4 wines. That's from 3 to 7 Monday through Friday and all day on Sundays starting at 11 a.m. We're here at Big Mike's on Aspen Square in Denham Springs. Come on out and see us live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
The Thibodeau store, your spot to buy if you're still looking for something for Dad. Now, listen, you get to ThibodeauStore.com. Delivery is available, but you're running out of time as we get closer to Christmas. So if you're looking for power tools or hand tools, toolboxes, the big rolling toolboxes are on special there. Huge selection of grills, including the big green egg cookers, available at ThibodeauStore.com. Now, if you go into the store, some unique items where you're talking about crawfish and jambalaya pots, but also a large supply of custom-made Cypress furniture, rockers, gliders, porch swings, all available at the Thibodeau store. So head on down to your home improvement experts. If you're doing jobs by yourself at home, take their advice. Don't waste time or money. Talk to the folks at the Thibodeau store. It's so much better than a YouTube video trying to walk you through. You're going to save time. You're going to save money. 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodeau, and online it's ThibodeauStore.com.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, the new LouisianaSports.net, 104.5ESPN.com. We'll be dropping a new Handycast, our last one before the holiday break. Tonight, we'll have that for you, a little bit of information on some of the LSU incoming in the transfer portal. The rest of the day in the NFL yesterday, the game that everybody was waiting for was the Bills and the Lions. I don't know if you took the Lions defensive guys that were out, I think you could fill an auditorium. But it was every bit the offensive spectacle that everybody expected, and the Bills end up winning that thing by 6, although it was a big rally late. The Bills were the Bills were up 3 scores in the second half. Jimmy, about what we expect. The first time the Lions have lost since the second week of the season, so that got everybody's attention.
You could see it coming.
They were down 35-14 was the biggest deficit.
No, but before this game. Not just getting housed like this, but the defense of all of the one thing to lose Hutchinson, but they're bringing up guys like multiple guys a day before the Thursday night game against the Packers, and they're playing in the critical stretches of the game, and they pulled it out. But you could just see that this team is vulnerable, and Bill's a little bit desperate. If they have a chance to, they got the tiebreaker, but that game in Kansas City's bound to lose, but the game against the loss makes it really tough. But they still rebounded, man. And Allen is just basically cemented the MVP. I mean, nobody's passed him. Nobody should. I mean, he doesn't have some of the supporting cast that some of the others. He can hand the ball off more. They get more running production out of their running backs than they have in a couple of years. He was the rushing game the last couple of years. But, man, a combination of, he's a beast running the ball in the red zone. And he's just throwing the ball so well. And now that Kincaid and Coleman are back, which both have missed time, they're still – I mean, you lose a guy, no matter what you think of Diggs, his production, you can't argue with. That's a big void that was created. He's been great. He's been great. They've got their own problems. I mean, they can't stop a whole lot of teams. That's two straight weeks they give up 40. I mean, so you don't think they're vulnerable as well, but Allen's a star here. And then – okay, so the Lions lost. Huh? How many times in the earlier loss did they throw the ball, attempt the ball? Over 40 times against Tampa Bay. This time they attempted it 59. That's not what they want to do. They want to run the ball and control the ball. But when you down 14 basically from jump, oh, man, you're in catch-up mode the whole time, and they had to stray away from what they ideally want to do, and that's run the football first.
Buffalo's interesting. I agree with you that Allen is probably going to win the MVP. Lamar Jackson's numbers are a little bit better than his across the board, but not much. And the Bills are in first place, and the Ravens aren't. So I agree with you on Allen.
You think that Jackson's had as good of a year as Allen?
Yes.
Wow.
34 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Yeah, I do. He's also got a 1 yard better per attempt average than Allen, and he's got 300 yards more rushing. Baltimore
Well, that's the stats.
Yeah, that is.
Okay.
And
you watch him play.
I did.
Who you take tomorrow for a game?
It's what and what. I'm not saying that there's a big difference.
We disagree. It's okay.
I'm not saying there's a big difference between the two of them. I think Jackson's
I'll
been
take
phenomenal.
Allen. It's not even close to me. Go ahead.
I think it's very close. But the Bills now have a chance if this Mahomes injury is legit, that they could sneak in and get the number 1 seed in this thing. They finish up with 2 games against the Patriots and a game against the Jets. Can't imagine if their regulars are out there, if the game means anything, they lose any of those. Chiefs have got Texans, Steelers in a 10-day period, and then they finish at the Broncos. So all of a sudden, that number
At the Broncos,
yeah. So all of a sudden, that number 1 seed that Kansas City felt like they had in their back pocket is very much up for grabs. And the Buffalo's already beaten them once, and I thought that they were the better team that day, even though it came down to Allen having to make that play at the end. So who's the favorite in the AFC right now if you're looking at it? Kansas City still got the best record, but Mahomes is at least
it feels like it's Buffalo's year. But how you gonna pick against Kansas City in the postseason? How can you possibly do that
if Mahomes is compromised? And we don't know how bad this is.
He might miss the rest of the regular season. He's not missing the playoffs. We've seen this before.
No, he's going to play. I'm saying, is he compromised?
With the rest of the regular season, he might not even play, Charlie. He's compromised.
I don't know.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah,
yes.
That's a hell of a shot he took yesterday. They high-load him. It was ugly. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning Buffalo at this point. If Mahomes is in any way compromised, they could go to Arrowhead and win.
They're not going to. Mahomes will play that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right.
That's what I'm saying. But if he's not, he has to be Premier Patrick Mahomes.
Man, he won't be any worse than what he was against Cincinnati. He came back and played.
It ends up being maybe a shootout like this game. Well, more so the Rams game, 44-42. That's how. Buffalo's games have been going here lately. The defense is a mess without their top 3 safeties yesterday. But offensively, they score with anybody.
To your point, is Jackson having a great year, Allen's having a great year, okay, but they still haven't done it, and Mahomes gets it done every time.
He does.
So
that's inarguable.
You got to slay the dragon before you can move on, man. They're the beast.
I can't argue with that. And the Ravens right now are not even winning.
They're going to be the favorite in the AFC.
They're not even winning the division right now. So
Bills are favored to win the AFC.
Bills
right
are
now.
favored.
Yeah,
wow.
You're looking at quite a big gap there too. Bills plus 185, the Chiefs are plus 270, and the Ravens are plus 390.
They must really think Mahomes is hurt.
He is the Chiefs.
Did that switch since yesterday? This time yesterday?
I think the Bills were slightly favored before, but not to this level. I will say the Chiefs are a 3-point dog at home next week to the Texans, so they definitely
think Mahomes is hurt.
No, he's out. I wouldn't play him the rest of the regular season.
They're 2 games back, but Buffalo owns a tiebreaker, so one game.
Right, they got to go 3-0, and they got to go 1-2. What's the chances of that?
No, they got to go. The Chiefs could go 2-1 because if they make that's right. They got to make up 2 games. Yeah, but
so they got to win 5 out of the 6. The 5 out of the 6 outcomes have to happen for them to get that to jump them.
Yeah, but how many?
That's a tight window.
True. Bills are favored in all 3.
Mahomes being out gives them a chance.
Bills are heavy favorites in all 3. 2 against the Patriots, 1 against the Jets. That's basically a layup.
Patriots looked good yesterday, huh?
Yeah, fantastic.
That under 4.5 is going to hit.
And the Chiefs have got 3 games that they could lose. Are they going to lose all 3 or even 2 of them? I don't know. Probably not. But we'll see. All 3
playoff teams.
Yeah, that's right.
Left 2 of the 3 on the road. So they'll be underdogs in all these games.
Now that
Even if
Mahomes
Mahomes comes back, they're not favored at Pittsburgh. With a 75% Mahomes, I mean, even if he comes back, and man, do you want to play him against the Steelers?
no,
Yeah, they're kind of physical, huh?
very much so.
I mean, you may compromise that seed, that number one seed, to make sure he's healthy for the playoffs.
I would, yeah.
That's the decision.
He proved last year he can win on the road in the playoffs. That wasn't a problem, was it?
It was, yeah. No problem. At those two teams, at Buffalo and at Baltimore. Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title, Chad Reynolds and Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings, 296-0060. Full-service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional services, which you get every time you call 296-0060. Our great team at Legacy Title, Ashley Donald, Mariana Haynes, Adrian Galata, Michael Platt, and yes, Chad Reynolds wants to wish you and yours happy holidays, Merry Christmas from Legacy Title.
Live at Big Mike's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jimmy, Charlie, and Troy. Three best buddies sitting around talking sports bets. Let's welcome in Troy Macker from Bet Rivers.
And we return here at Big Mike's. Bring in Troy. Troy, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Just ready to start another fun week and gearing up for some really important football, both on college and NFL this week.
Yeah, we got a lot to cover. It's a huge weekend in college basketball. But let's start in the NFL. How'd the public do, considering it felt like I don't know if I could have found a single person in the United States of America said Bills Lions under, and that ended up playing out exactly like that. How'd the public do yesterday?
The public did pretty well. Overall, the sportsbook did take a small six-figure win across the board. But if you look at, there were 14 games, I guess 13 games being played yesterday. The public took wins on 6 of them, with 4 of them being six-figure wins, and 2 of them being pretty decent wins. The Lions-Bills game resulted in a big win for the public. I think because it was so tight, the line was 2.5. It was really tough to really stake a claim on either side. So you saw a lot of action on both sides. But as the game quickly progressed, you could catch a really good line because the Bills got off to a quick lead, but the game was still, there's so much time to be played. So there was a lot of value in early live betting in that game. The other big game, Bengals-Titans, resulted in a huge win for the public. And, although it was our lowest wagered on game, the Jets-Jaguars game resulted in the largest margins of winning for the public, where the public, with a 40% hold on the total game handle. That was a mid six-figure win for the public as well. So if the Vikings win comfortably tonight and the Falcons win comfortably tonight, it will end up being a very big weekend for the public.
It's concerning those two games and a number of them yesterday. We were talking about the bottom of the league, the Raiders, the Giants, the Jaguars, the Browns, the Titans. It almost seems like how high do you have to push lines before you can find any support for these teams?
Yeah, and in the case of the Giants-Ravens games, 16 was what it closed at, and that was the highest spread of the season. And we haven't seen a lot of double-digit spreads this season, but we've seen a lot more in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and we'll see even more this upcoming week. I keep track of the strongest plays in NFL. Anything above 80, I kind of put on a spreadsheet, and you see the same names, those teams that you just mentioned. But even with a team like the Chiefs, I think that could have potentially been a bigger win for the public, but there's just been hesitancy to back them because, while they are winning damn near every game, they're, not great at covering. The games are much tighter. The Browns have been frisky. So I think there was some hesitancy on the public to really get behind the Chiefs in that spot. So, the Ravens are a team that the public loves getting behind. The Bills as well. The Lions as well, too, which is why that game was just so volatile. I'm surprised that it was such a big win there. But, if the Titans and the Panthers and the Jaguars are a team that people love to fade, it's not so much that they're back in the favorites as much as they're really hammering when a good team plays a really bad team, and that is coming to light a lot more with some divisional games between the haves and the have-nots.
Another game. Well, let me back up on the Chiefs here for a second, because we're looking at not just odds in their next 3 games. They got 2 games in the next 10 days, but also to win the AFC, to have home field. This Mahomes injury seems to have really moved things around a little bit, which obviously it would. What's your take on where the Chiefs stand right now, with Buffalo looming there with a very easy schedule the last 3?
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like Mahomes had an ankle injury maybe in the first playoff game a couple years ago, or a late season game. It feels like his ankle has been an issue for him for a while. Right now the Chiefs are plus 550 to win the Super Bowl. This time last week they were plus 450. So while there has been a change, it's not a massive one. You figure he will come back and play. He might be hobbled, but that, as good as he is, and we don't have to argue how good he is in the grand scheme, that is also a system where they have had success or been able to stay afloat with a backup for a few quarters. Certainly they haven't had to go to a backup for more than a full game or 2, I don't think, but that is a very level-headed program being run there in Kansas City, so they could sustain a game or 2 as long as Mahomes isn't out for the foreseeable future. But we are not seeing a ton of futures action on the Chiefs over the last 6 weeks, solely because it's just wild. They're one of the 2 best teams in the NFL by schedule or by results. I don't think people would argue that they're anything worse than the 5th best team, but we're not seeing anything resembling a top 5 team in terms of future betting, because they haven't been as dominant as they have been. They're winning games, which is the most important thing in the NFL. But they've been squeaking out wins against teams that they should be winning. So it's going to be very interesting to monitor the public betting on Chiefs futures as we enter the playoffs, because I don't think the confidence is there. I know people have soured on the Chiefs just because they're in the public spotlight a lot, but from a confidence in betting on them, I think it's slowed down even more than normal.
And let me flip conferences on you, because on the other side, the Lions and the Eagles have the same record, but the Lions...
They didn't play each other, so
right.
The Lions have a better conference record.
And the number of players that the Lions have lost on defense, I mean, that is just a huge number. Philadelphia's playing so good, so when we look at the last 3 games and the futures there, what's your read?
Yeah, the injuries are the big thing, and it seems like David Montgomery is going to be out for potentially the rest of the season, which is just a backbreaker. Now they do have Jahmyr Gibbs, but the Sonic and Knuckles has been what's really driving their offense. I'm fascinated by that because I think we have a strong footprint in the Pennsylvania area, which lends itself to a lot of backing in the Eagles. But the Eagles performed well this week. A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts got on the same page, but they've had these issues. Nick Sirianni coach teams don't have the best chemistry, and it seems to have broken down in December and January in the past, although they are playing exceptionally well. So I'm fascinated by how people are going to bet on a team they may not be able to trust because of chemistry versus a team with all the chemistry in the world, but is now falling apart at the seams, where maybe they won't be able to do some of these crazy, zany things that you like to do because they're just not playing with the same confidence because they don't have the personnel. So it was a really unfortunate things to happen for the Lions because, entering the week, they're the public darlings. They're the public pick. All the money's behind the Lions to win the NFC. But the Eagles, because they've just done so well and they have a favorable schedule, I think it could shift, especially with such a heavy backing from the Pennsylvania area.
Yeah, and the odds reflect that. Eagles and Lions now. The Lions, again, tone the tiebreaker. So if they both win out, I mean, the Lions are the number 1 seed, but they're co-favorites, both plus 210 right now at Bet Rivers. And in the AFC, we talked about it. Kansas City winning the whole time, still have a game and a half lead in all reality, 2-game lead, but they lose the tiebreaker to Buffalo. Buffalo's the favorite. Buffalo's the favorite over Kansas City, and so you just wonder about the hunger factor or the Allen. Allen's been so much better than Mahomes this year. Now Mahomes is hurt, but yeah, there's some confidence in the teams that don't currently sit atop the conference standards. And keep in mind, the 1 seed is the only one that gets the bye in the first round, the wild card round. Troy, I got to ask you from your perspective though. You're in Commanders country. What's your take from yesterday's game down in the Superdome?
Nerves, just all the nerves. I could argue that there was 3 seconds that should have come off the clock that didn't. But this is something that's happened in recent games where the second half the team they don't perform well when they don't play with urgency. In previous games they've got out to big leads against bad teams. They've got out to big leads and they've been able to coast or take advantage of careless errors. But the Saints ramped it up. I mean, they made the right call in switching quarterbacks. That's what you can do to get some momentum back, and the Commanders didn't match it. And the things that really have stood out to me this year, like why they played so well for 4 weeks, like the best 4 weeks of football myself as a Commanders fan have ever seen, is because they converted damn near every time on 3rd and 4th down. They had almost 0 penalties, which never exist, and they didn't drop the ball. And in games they've struggled or lost, they've had lots of penalties. Their conversion rate on 3rd and 4th down has gone way down, and they've had drops. And that is what happened in the fourth quarter. Is there were penalties that called back at least one touchdown that led to the long field goal that they missed, giving the Saints the ball. They had at least 1 or 2 penalties on that drive to extend things for the Saints. And they weren't able to convert on 2 straight 3rd downs, which has been where Jaden Daniels has thrived. And when that happens, you then look back at the 2-minute warning, they were passing the ball a lot. And basic NFL scripts say if you're up under 2 minutes, you run the ball out, right? And they didn't do that. They left it in Jaden Daniels' hands. And they did score a touchdown, which was called back. So once it was a head-scratching decision to not burn clock, but they were playing well on offense. So when the Saints do get the ball back, and they're now moving it, running the ball, passing it to running backs, it was very unnerving that they felt so confident but weren't playing with a lot of urgency. But you know what? At the end of the day, a win's a win, and they're still in the playoff contention. And that, for this team, considering where they were at the beginning of the year, is great, even though I think there were times where you'd think they could win the division. They could make a deep run. At this point, it's just make the playoffs and get an extra game, and they're certainly in control of their own destiny there.
Let's take a look at college basketball, Troy. It was a huge weekend, a huge Saturday.
Yeah, it was great.
Tennessee with a really, really nice win against the top 15 net Illinois team.
That was a tough environment to pull out that win, too.
Very, very tough. Auburn blows out a top 35 net team in Ohio State.
Neutral. Or Atlanta.
Yeah. That game was never close.
No.
We start there because that's at the top of the Southeastern Conference, and I heard a lot of who do you like better, Tennessee or Auburn, questions on Sunday after this.
Yeah, for me, I like Tennessee. I mean, Zakai Ziegler, I don't know if he's right now playing as the best player in the country. He's certainly one of the 3, but he is the straw that stirs the drink. He is very undersized, but the guy plays so hard. He's a good shooter. He's a great distributor. He's just a motor. Johnny Broome for Auburn is one of the most talented players in the country, elite in a lot of areas of his game. Bruce Pearl, Coach T, can be very explosive on offense, where Tennessee, is going to attack on the perimeter, get to the basket, win on the boards, but they're not always very explosive in terms of playing in the 80s and 90s. I certainly like Tennessee, and I love Tennessee to win it all at 1,500. Now, it's a bit ridiculous to place championship wagers now because it's really the tournament's all about matchups. But to see that they are, the sixth shortest odds when they're the number 1 team in the country and they've had such great wins, going at Illinois and winning is a tough venue. So I do like that value right now. The same value as, longer value than Houston. I think they're far better than Houston. So
they are.
If you say you need to pick Tennessee or Auburn, I'd say who would you like? I'll take the other team because I do like both. But I'm leaning Tennessee, even though there is in the off of the distance. We all know that Rick Barnes doesn't have the world's greatest tournament success, although he's silenced a little bit of the critics. But he's going to need to make a national championship game and win for really it to go away. And this is a Tennessee team I think could win 6 games in a row to win it all.
Taking 4 different teams to the tournament, whether it's Providence, Clemson, Texas, and Tennessee, and only 1 trip to the Final Four. They lost to to Carmelo Anthony and help me out this year, McNamara and that team that beat Kansas in the final. Yeah, so Mouton and some of those other guys. Of course, they lost a regional final and did not to say it was just the style of officiating didn't help them. I mean, they put Edie at the line all game long, connected everything he could to keep him in it. When you lose a piece like Dalton Connect with a team that could go through offensive droughts, man, the guy Milicic is really helped them up. I don't think they're subject. I think they got a little bit more potency on offense than some of his previous teams at Tennessee that would go through those droughts. And I've never been a big Ziegler fan, but when you log that many starts, he's pivotal. Missed a key free throw though. I mean, he's the best free throw shooter on the team. They missed it. Now Illinois missed one of two where they could have won the lead. But coast to coast, that was a wild atmosphere in Champaign. A lot of neutral site games in the big matchups on Saturday. That was the most impressive true road game in Champaign. But yeah, 15-1 compared to 7-1. But Johnny Broome is me, bro. I mean, some of the reports that he's a little abrasive with some of his teammates and some of the coaches sometimes, but
just because there was a brawl on the plane, I mean, you're gonna hold
but you know what? My man is Charlie. I don't know if you remember Rudy Macklin at LSU.
I do,
but Rudy, had he played in this era, would have extended his range a little bit. But he is a double. You're getting it every single game. Yeah. He plays hard, and that team let up, coast, exhale is not in their vocabulary. When they were up 30. Oh, they're going to be up. They're looking to go up 35-40, like you saw on display against Ohio State.
I like that comparison, the Macklin comparison a lot. Troy, here's another one that caught my attention. Texas A&M beats Purdue pseudo home game in Indianapolis. Texas A&M might be the sixth best team in the league.
That was a good win.
That's what I'm saying. That's a really good win from a team that's probably not even considered a top 5 SEC
semi-road
team
game at Indianapolis. They're not going to get credit for a road game, but yeah.
So Troy, real quick on that one.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is due in large part to Buzz Williams is now in his fourth or fifth year there. And can really get his players geared up for, he probably instilled a mentality that is a road game and they're going through a hostile environment. And it was certainly more of a road game than a neutral site game, like you mentioned. Texas A&M the last couple of years have been in this fold, maybe fourth or fifth best, but certainly capable of banging with the Giants and keeping games close. And, Buzz's teams have always had a puncher's chance. That is his mentality. For me, it's a little bit more Purdue. I haven't been super high on them. I weren't super high on them entering the season. I think Brayton Smith was a great complimentary piece, but sometimes getting a complimentary piece to turn into a superstar, it's heavy lifting. And he has done some really good stuff, but I didn't think he was just going to turn into a 20-point scorer who's going to be able to be a playmaker at both ends of the floor. I think he is more of a great wing shooter who can drive and create a little bit, but to be the heavy lifter for Purdue, I wasn't convinced that they would be able to sustain. They were not going to be the number one team in the country. That's all well and fine, but I don't even see them as a top 10 or 15 team. I think they're around 25 to 30. I think they're certainly an NCAA tournament team, but I didn't have as much faith in them as I think the general consensus was. So a team like Texas A&M could definitely knock them off because they have talent too. They have experience, and when Buzz Williams teams have experience, the sky is really the limit.
Troy, appreciate it. We'll talk to you on Friday getting ready for the college football playoffs. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
All right, don't forget our friends at Los Reyes Mexican Grill. Saturday on the way home for the Queen, hit that, man, and had the fajita steak taco. I had a shredded chicken taco. Their guacamole is outstanding over there. Recently, some of that great weather we've had, we open up the garage-style doors on the patio, but you get the best of both. You can sit covered inside, nice TVs to watch, but you can enjoy the open air as well. So got EJ, the grilled chicken burrito with the queso sauce with the rice and beans. He loves that. He devoured that on Saturday night. And then, what I like about it, too, you can always tell, when you get the fresh tortillas, that's the difference in a real Mexican restaurant. Extensive menu, all of the favorites. They do a house specialty, too. Mexican pizza, which generous portion, more than enough for 1. And also, our happy hour is every day, 2:30 to 6:30, 7 days a week, including $8 house margaritas. Los Reyes Mexican Grill. Go by and tell my buddy Kyle or Scott. Love Miss Blair behind the bar. She does a great job, always pleasant. I was watching UConn, Gonzaga, Dayton, Marquette, and the NBA tournament, Houston OKC, the semifinal from Las Vegas as well. Always have sports on the TVs at Los Reyes Mexican Grill on Lee, right across from Mike Anderson's.
Live at Big Mike's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
AP All-American team out. Will Campbell, the lone representative for LSU on the first team at tackle along with Kelvin Banks. Cam Ward, your All-American quarterback, edging out Dylan Gabriel. And Travis Hunter, first team All-American on defense as a corner, first team All-American all-purpose, and second-team All-American on offense as a wide receiver. SEC led the way in first-team All-Americans with 6. ACC and the Big Ten each had 5 apiece. Of course, the top 2 running backs were Ashton Genty and Cam Skattebo, who was 5th, as we turned out.
Genty and Skattebo?
Genty and Skattebo ended up 5th in the Heisman
the Tennessee
voting.
running back didn't.
Not the first team.
No.
The second team offensive, it was Amarian Hampton from North Carolina, who I think was second in the country in yards per game, and Caleb Johnson, the junior from Iowa. And actually, I take it back. Dylan Gabriel was not the second-team All-American quarterback. It was Shadur Sanders. Gabriel was the third-team All-American quarterback, Cam Ward. Hour number 2, straight ahead at Big Mike's, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Here at Big Mike's, getting in the holiday spirit here. Christmas trivia tonight. Every Monday night they do a different themed trivia. Tonight, Christmas, duh. Well, of course, pictures with Santa. Pictures with Santa and the Grinch tomorrow. Bring the kids out. Starting
right?
at 6:30. Yep.
Santa and the Grinch?
Santa and the Grinch.
I like that.
I do too.
Kind of
for those that have been naughty and those that have been nice.
Well, this is, we definitely have a Santa Grinch type of theme to our show, feel to our show, huh, Charlie?
Definitely at times, for sure.
I do appreciate you taking the Grinch side of things most of the times.
Yeah, I think that's how most people see it, for sure.
Mac, that's what Mac said.
Charlie's the Grinch
he would know.
When it comes to Desmond Ritter.
I'll get to Desmond Ritter here in a little bit. He gets to play tonight. Electric Rendezvous on stage this Saturday night. Always have live music on the weekends here at Big Mike's. It will be closed on Christmas Day, of course, but line dancing returns the night after Christmas on December the 26th. Holiday gift card specials here. Buy $25, get $5 off. $50, get $10 off, and $100 gets $20 off here at Big Mike's. Come enjoy happy hour in the bar from 3 until 7, Monday through Friday, and all day on Sunday starting at 11 o'clock. If you're coming out to watch the NFL, which, of course, we do every week, you come out here to Big Mike's on Aspen Square here in Denham Springs.
You're talking to the NFL and they're showing some highlights. They got great TVs over here in the bar area, and throughout the whole restaurant. This is a sports bar and grill for a reason. I mean, they're dedicated to having the games on and having different game options. But watching Detroit and Buffalo, you got to play better defense to win it all. If these two teams are playing right now, huh?
Yeah, and
come on, man.
At least Buffalo, it seems like, has a chance to get some of these guys.
They're giving them 42 straight weeks.
Yeah, it seems like they got a chance to get some of these guys back before the end of the season. With Detroit, I don't know if it is.
Oh, I got. Okay, I see what you're saying.
They've got an opportunity there. The Lions, man, you look at this. You look at the Lions' depth chart. On defense, and they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 guys that are either on IR or out for next week.
But just all the points and the yards too. It's not. it's not like they're throwing in tight windows. The guys are wide open.
Yeah.
Guys is very. And if you remember, we were talking to Derek Stevens, owner of Circa. He's a big Detroit guy. He's a Michigan Detroit guy. I mean, and he even said before the season, look, our schedule and our health, everything worked out last year.
Mm-hmm.
They made a deep run. They've got the psyche. Campbell's doing a great job, but you got to have a little luck in the health department, the injury or lack of injury department. And right now, they're taking some body blows.
I agree. And I'll tell you, I understand why the Bills and the Chiefs are the favorites in the AFC, and I understand why the Eagles and the Lions are the favorites in the NFC. But let me give you just a couple of teams if you're interested in taking.
A.J. Brown got some targets yesterday.
Everybody sang Kumbaya yesterday in Philadelphia.
Let's dance.
Let's
look, AJ. I'm going to throw you the ball. When you catch it, we're going to have a little dance. I mean, hey, but you know what? Hey, if I'm an Eagles supporter, I'm fine with it. Whatever it takes. You guys figure it out. I mean, no, we don't need to be bickering. That's not going to help anything.
I'm going to give you two teams in the NFC and one in the AFC that you can get at a price right now that I think, if everything fell right, you would have you would have an opportunity with. Okay, in the NFC, let me talk about the Packers first. They haven't lost to anybody besides the Lions. In
the North only beats up the North.
In 2.5 months, they've beaten everybody else. This is a team that came an eyelash away from the Super Bowl last year. Okay, they're playing really good football. If you watched the game last night, and this is not just last night, but Josh Jacobs looks healthy. He's running behind a really good offensive line. Jordan Love is playing well. They absolutely demolished. Now, Seattle's got some offensive line issues and some injuries up there. They demolished that offensive line. I mean, Geno went out, but
I like Jacobs, but I like the guy that left too. Really good, Jones.
Aaron Jones,
okay,
yeah,
so,
and he's playing well for Minnesota.
It's a little different style back, but equally as effective. Yeah, I mean, I thought some odd game management in San Francisco for that game.
Yeah, that's a dangerous team at plus 650 to win
that
NFC.
was a team that was favored in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
at their place, and you had them beat.
I would rather take the Packers at plus 650 than the Lions at plus 210.
They're capable of
That's NFC Championship.
You don't know what you're getting from series to series with him. I mean, he can look really good and he can look really shaky. And but no, they feasted on those teams. Every team they're supposed to beat, they beat. Every one of them.
All right. Now let me give you a second team that has beaten some teams that maybe they weren't.
But what's the price on Packers?
Plus 650 to win the NFC.
What is that? That's behind Detroit, behind
Philadelphia.
Who are
they're
third.
They're third.
Okay.
At plus 650.
All right. Ahead of Minnesota, huh?
Just barely. Vikings are plus 700. You want to go a little bit longer shot, and there's a reason for that. Tampa Bay. Hear me out, okay? They won their fourth straight yesterday. They put 40 points on the number one defense in the NFL on the road. They have beaten the Lions in Detroit. They housed the Eagles. Now, those were in September. I get it. That was a long time ago. They demolished the Eagles in that game, 2-1 on the yardstick. They lose to the Chiefs at Arrowhead in overtime when they didn't have their receivers, when Mike Evans was still out and Chris Godwin is still out. And there was one more game. Well, they lost to the Ravens by 10. The Ravens had kind of gotten away from them. They made a comeback that came up just short.
No, they were.
But those other games.
Big deal. Ravens beat a lot of people.
Against the Lions, against the Eagles, against the Chiefs, two of those games on the road. And now this game against the Chargers. Baker Mayfield, third in the league in touchdown passes, second in the league in interceptions. If there was ever a puncher's chance, Tampa on the right day.
No. You said it. You don't know what you get in Baker from series to series as well. He's a gunslinger. He is going to throw it in there. Now, not to the degree of a Jameis Winston, but he's going to make plays. He's going to make mistakes, and he made some mistakes yesterday and put it behind an 8 ball. They're down 17-10, and the Chargers are about to make it 10 or 14, and then the house caves in on the Chargers, which is odd. Because they're built for unders. They're built for close games. Harbaugh, he's going to blow that team out. That doesn't happen. I mean, it just doesn't happen. So I just think that Tampa Bay is a team that I'll take a money line play on in any matchup, anywhere in the playoffs, but I can't bet them to win 3 in a row.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
fair. And you're getting plus 1,500 for them to win the whole thing, and
Of
they probably
course,
won't win the whole thing. But you're right; they could go to Philadelphia and win. They could.
Yes,
they could go to Detroit and win.
He is. If he could clean it up a little bit, But I mean, and listen, when he throws into coverage, whether they're caught or not, I mean, there's some bad throws. I mean, he's still doing that. He's still doing it, and so. He gives them a chance. He is a bona fide starter. We didn't know because he got more because of his status. He got more chances than most. And every stop was just kind of a Band-Aid. Okay, this is a backup. Maybe. No, he gives you a chance. He lets it go. And even with losing some guys, now their running game is much improved, which is taking some a toll off for him. They got a nice 1-2 combo running game. Bucky Irvin's been a real find out of Oregon, but he is here to stay as a starter. He's going to have his good days and bad days. He's going to have his good quarters and bad quarters. But yes, he's going to give you a chance. But he's also going to lose some games that he's supposed to.
In the AFC, and it's not going to come as a surprise to you because you know how I feel about this organization, but the Ravens are the third choice right now. And if you've noticed, they have ever so slightly reduced Derrick Henry's workload over the last month to get him ready for the playoffs.
Yes. Yep.
And, of course, yesterday was easy because they had the Giants. But even in games against the Eagles and the Steelers and the Bengals, all of which were, competitive games, they've scaled it back, and Harbaugh knows what he's doing. They may not win the division. They got to beat Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's beating them 8 out of 9. They got them coming up this weekend. But I think I would rather take a shot with the Ravens at plus 375 than the Chiefs with an Allen Mahomes at plus 250 or the Bills with defensive issues, let's say, at plus 180. That would I can't go Steelers or Texans because I don't think the Steelers have enough offense, and the Texans just make me nervous with what they've done in the last month. I can't get that loss to the Titans out of my head, but I can play the Ravens at plus 375.
Yeah. It's a dual-purpose sort of load management. For a big part of the season, they wanted to try and develop Lamar as a thrower. They wanted to try and, also reduce the amount of hits he took, during the course of the season as a runner. So they really leaned on more handing the ball off to Henry, and especially in the second half. But now they also want to, when they want Lamar to be ready to run. He needs to run more than he did against the Chiefs in that loss last year. They need to not get away from running the football like they did. The Chiefs took the opening kickoff, so they're down every snap they took in that game. They were down, and they panicked. And Monken got a lot of criticism for it, and, sort of deservedly so. But they want to try and they've had all season to try and get it right. So we want Lamar healthy, but we want Lamar ready to run when needed in the playoffs or that. And Henry, they did more out of handing the ball off and running the ball, and Henry's been a big find, and you know that when it gets cold in this time. And so, but the passing game seems more potent. They have given him some real weapons there. He's got 2 tight ends, which he likes. He's got a couple of highly drafted receivers that he throws. So he's got weapons, and he has improved on his passing. I don't care how wide open the guys or whatever. That's the touchdown interceptions are unbelievable for a guy that can run like Lamar Jackson. 38-3, you said something like that?
34-3 touchdowns, interception. Here's another one. He's got the top QBR on balls that travel 10 or more yards in the air this year. So he's actually thrown the ball down the field a little bit more.
He's thrown to all quadrants. No, it's not. Yes, yeah.
He's got a lot.
The yards per attempt.
Yards per attempt.
He's number 1 in the league, you said?
I think he's number 2, but he's a full
just ahead of Allen.
Yeah, a full yard ahead of Allen, who is also up there. He's 8.9 to 8.0, Jackson to Allen.
Boy, every time the Bills did need a play yesterday, they ran that wheel route with the back, and it's just how much he has improved, over the course of his career on his accuracy and his touch, because that is, it's a back. It's not but he is just floating it right. It's a. It just seems like Allen. Both Allen and Jackson are ready to make a serious run. And, this is Kansas City's been struggling with every damn team they played, and now Mahomes is hurt. Yeah,
That's-
they're more than vulnerable.
Jackson is number one in the league at 8.9, just in front of Sam Darnold and Jared Goff.
He's in front of Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold.
Vikings. Where's the tiebreaker, Max? Because they would have split. They will have the same division record. If the Vikings go 3-0 and beat the Detroit on the last day of the season and pick up that game, tied head-to-head, tied division record. What's the next tiebreaker for divisional crown? Was it? Is it point differential?
NFC.
Did you go to conference record?
I think it's conference record, but
Even
I'll
though for a
look that
divisional tiebreaker.
I think that's next, but I'll look that up in the break.
Vikings tonight get. It's very hard not to just eat the chalk tonight with the Vikings against that awful Bears team. I mean,
divisional games sometimes.
I know.
It can happen.
Bears haven't won a game. The last time the Bears won was the week before the Hail Mary at the Commanders. And that'd been a long time ago.
Yeah.
So it's division percentage record, then common games percentage record, and then it goes to the conference.
So what's common games?
There might be one or two left with them. I'll check on that.
No, but I mean, who owns the tiebreaker? You don't know.
I do.
If they go 3-0 and the Lions lose that last game, so they would pick up the game time. So that game is in Detroit, by the way. They won that wild game
That's week
18, at Minnesota.
Right?
They hit the field goal at the very end.
Yeah, we were watching that.
Yeah, Beau Rivage. Yeah,
that game against the Lions. Yeah, that is week 18 at Detroit.
All right, don't forget our friends at Dana Brown, the law offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime, 343-1111 and ocbrown.com. Well, but both Charlie and I have used Dana's team of attorneys at different reasons or different stages of our lives and never, not once, hesitated to recommend their services for our friends and acquaintances as well. Downtown Dana Brown. Let's go to the website, ocbrown.com. It's easy with just a click of the button to schedule that initial consultation. We're not trained attorneys. We don't know if we're entitled to more or if our rights are being infringed upon. Downtown Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown, 343-1111.
Live at Big Mike's, live at lunch, 104.5, ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Big Mike's here. Christmas trivia tonight. Tomorrow night, bring the kids out for pictures with Santa and the Grinch starting at 6:30 here on Aspen Square. SEC went 13-1 on Saturday. LSU was the only team to lose in play on Saturday. Jimmy, conference now up to, and I know we've talked about this, but the numbers just keep continuing to pile up. 144-20 in the non-conference schedule. The Big 12 has had kind of a stranglehold on number one conference RPI for the last several years. They are 31 games ahead of the Big 12 if you look at just straight wins. 10 of the top 30 in the net are out of the SEC, 5 out of the top 10. And nobody is out of the top 100. And that, if you think, there's got to be one bad team in the conference somewhere, right? There's not really what you would call a bad team in the entire SEC, at least not right now. Now, they're going to start beating up on each other here in a couple of weeks. But the win we talked about at Illinois was impressive. Ohio State's a top 35 RPI any team. They beat them by 38. Kentucky with I would say a comfortable win against Louisville.
Yeah.
Alabama with they didn't cover, but they led most of the way against Creighton. Arizona State, who's not a terrible team, is a top 50 NET team. Florida crushed them this weekend. We talked about A&M's win in the
Georgia
Indianapolis
Grand Canyon
game
was more decisive than the final score indicated. Grand Canyon scrambled late to kind of make it respectable.
I'm looking. Oklahoma beat an okay Oklahoma State team. Really
neutral site, but they smashed them. I mean, they beat them bad. They're undefeated.
Yeah, most of these games were very, very close. Now, McNeese did give Mississippi State a run.
McNeese should have won. They led for about 37 of the 40 minutes. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And a sizable lead, especially with their defense. That game flipped very late. Very late.
I don't remember a year where the SEC was the number one NET team coming out of non-conference play. I mean, even in the best years that the league has had, the ACC or the Big East.
You're talking about as a conference. You said team.
I'm sorry.
Of course, Kentucky's been the number one team, or Arkansas and some others.
Number one league.
But Florida.
When you turn the calendar to after January 1st.
Number one, it's not close.
No, it's not close.
No, what's you on a historic pace? Actually, the Big Ten is on a pace to surpass the all-time high mark for a conference as well. So we talked about it. You mentioned the Big East back in that era with Chris Mullen and the great Syracuse teams, and Georgetown was at their peak of their great run. And Villanova as well. I talked about Michael Jordan, Ralph Sampson, and NC State won the whole thing. And Len Bias was at Maryland. That year it was 83 or 84. It's just but this is. They're smashing it, man. I mean, South Carolina pass up LSU, and LSU was in position to win. It reminded me of the Pitt game. It's a good point, although Frisco was a semi-home. I mean, the crowd is all SMU.
Right.
I mean, it's 30 minutes from campus. It's 9 hours from LSU's campus. So when another team, when they made the run, they just really didn't have any. By the time they finally gathered themselves and the game was over. It's decided in like that one run. What was that run at Pitt? It was like 14-0 or something to start the second half. Something ridiculous.
Exactly.
So what was this run? What was this run? Was this toward the end of the second half, first half, and start the second half?
This was in the beginning of the second half. LSU led 39-37. Next thing you know, they were down 51-39.
Yeah, 12. So it's like a 14-point run by them. Yeah.
Here's what I can't help but think about LSU. I think just from the games that I have watched, that this is a better group than a more talented team, a better team than last year's team, which went 9-9 in the conference. I think it would take a Herculean effort and a series of miracles for this team to go 9-9 in the conference this year. So they can be better with a worse record. Sometimes that happens. But what I really think about is, man, Jimmy, this LSU team 10 years ago, when the league was was putting 3 teams in the conference, this team might have finished in the top half of the conference. And now you're going to be struggling to stay out of the cellar.
What year did North Carolina win it all, and LSU played them in like Greensboro?
2009.
And it was tied in the second half, and it was the most competitive game.
2009, Trent Johnson's first year.
2009. LSU won the SEC by multiple games and was an 8 seed.
Yes.
Those days are gone.
Yeah, right. That was 15 years ago. And
multiple games, you win the league, and you're an 8 seed.
And there were at least a couple of years where the league only put 3 teams in. I remember sitting at Rufino's talking about this when they hired Mike Tranghese, and it's like, listen, Tranghese's a legend with what he did with the Big East and all that stuff. No more respected basketball guy in the world. He's going to tell him what we would have told him. Spend some money, hire some coaches, build some facilities.
Yes.
Schedule somebody.
Yeah, try to win. Improve your arenas, schedule, give your coach, whether you hire him or when he comes in, staff money, recruiting budget. Yes, I mean, you got the biggest budgets in football, in athletics. So, damn it, spend it on your second biggest moneymaker every year. It's going to be your second biggest moneymaker. I mean, that's a given. So spend some money on it, and they have, and that's where the coaches. I mean, the coaches make still even in this era. Okay, the transfer portal era, the coaches make it, and Bruce Pearl's going to win. He's won everywhere he's been. Barnes is really good, but a little bit of a ceiling at Tennessee. I think Kentucky made the right hire in Pope. I think he got a young guy who's embracing. His roster's only going to get better. He had to Band-Aid that thing together this year. Calipari, he's got his strengths and weaknesses, but you could do worse than him at Arkansas. I mean, Chris Beard's at Ole Miss.
Chris Beard
is at Ole Miss. Give me a break.
Circumstances led to that, but
okay.
but he's there.
Circumstances led Pearl to Auburn.
Yeah,
I mean, they took a real chance on him.
They did.
They took a chance on getting him, and then had to take a chance on keeping him.
I still wonder if he would have gone to that meeting that they requested, if he'd still be the coach. Remember when he was just like, they were like, we want to come talk to you, and he was like, no, you can't come talk to me. And it worked.
We were doing shows in studio. I
were.
think Will Wade was with us one day, and he's like, maybe we're like, this. What is he doing? This guy has no chance.
He walked in and he told us, he said, Pearl just refused to talk to Auburn and the NCAA.
Okay, is that what it was?
Yeah, he was walking in the studio, and he said, Pearl just refused to talk to him.
We're like, okay, by the end of the show, I guess we'll have an announcement he's done.
Yes, and I really wonder what
No, he's
happened.
cutting down the nets, going to Final Four.
Every one of those
and got a
schools.
horrible call on the non-double dribble, or he's in the finals, man. And what I like about him, Charlie, is they're going to play their style of play. They're going to dictate it. They work on it, and look, they may rush a shot a little bit along the way or make an over-aggressive, poor basketball IQ play from time to time, but they're aggressive, and you're playing their style. And he's going to play his bench, even with the key injury that they have. I'm sorry, that's Alabama, but they're going to play their style. I mean, Oates is as good. I mean, I don't know. Name Kentucky, Michigan to UCLA. I mean, name where. I mean, to I don't know, to North Carolina. You can have any coach in the country. Oates is in that top 3.
I'd have to put a pencil to it, but he's way high at the top.
Hurley, even though he's impossible to like. Okay,
well, he's got to be number one,
right?
But
I mean, you got your choice between Calipari and Oates.
Oates.
Okay, Bruce Pearl and Oates would be close, huh?
Yeah, it would. I'm thinking about it. It depends on where you are in your program. I mean, Tom Izzo has accomplished way more, but he's at the very end.
Right now.
Yeah.
I mean, who's
Oates has got a better group.
Oates has
right
a better roster
yes,
because he's
does.
younger and can. I mean, not just, but he's.
I mean, career resume goes to Izzo.
No,
but right
we're not
now,
talking about Hall of Fame candidates.
Okay,
we're talking about right now.
I got it. Yeah. No, he's up there. He's definitely up there. Let me ask you this about Rick Barnes. There's one name that comes to mind when I think about Rick Barnes in this year, and can this be for him for Jim Boeheim? When Jim Boeheim, who had been in the tournament so many times, who had come close a bunch of times and just never could get quite there, and then he finally had his team in 2003, and he won his national championship. That
was not his best team, though.
Well, it may not have been, but everything came. It was his best player for sure.
100. Whatever you think about Carmelo Anthony, and I think he's a hell of a talent, but he was kind of a loser. He rarely won. He was on winning teams, but he was a winning player in college.
You thought the '87 team was better, Syracuse?
The one that lost to
Indiana.
That unbelievable Illinois team in the regional final was great. That Syracuse run in '87, that national runner-up, that was a little bit of a surprise. He had better teams on each side of that, but they got caught fire.
One of the Pearl Washington teams, is that what you're talking about?
Pearl Washington.
Yeah.
When they had Billy Owens and Derek Coleman on the same team and those other complementary players, that Illinois team was the best team in the country that year, Charlie.
Yeah, I remember that.
Glenn Rice just was silly in the semifinal, but they were. I think that was actually his best team. That was a 1-2 matchup in a regional final.
Fair enough.
I mean, I remember.
I'm just saying, a guy that's been so close so many times, had a bunch of good teams, been in the tournament a ton. This might be his year.
And McNamara was on fire.
He was.
In that run.
He was.
On fire.
In a Superdome. Maybe this is Barnes' year. He's 70 years old now. He's been in the game forever, and this might be his best team.
Last year could have been.
If they don't run into Purdue, yeah. I mean, Connect was playing as well as anybody in the country.
Purdue game, he
just
kept
short.
him in it by himself.
He did.
They just got I hate to, the way they officiated that game, it just did not suit them. I mean, it was a parade to the line. It was over and over and over and over. I mean, you just can't. I mean, free throws versus shoot 3-pointers. I mean, you're usually going to win.
Give yourself a bunch of chances, and maybe
I don't know. I think he's going to get to the Final Four. I think there's some really good teams.
There's a lot of really good teams,
but they have their roster. It lets you know that they have absorbed the blow offensively from losing Connect. That Milicic has got some. They can shoot. They got scorers. I don't think they're going to go through those scoring droughts. They're going to play defense. He preaches it. They're well coached, and Ziegler. I've been hard on him, but I'll take him now. I mean, all of those starts, he's going to make better decisions. So
you could finish sixth in the SEC and make the Final Four this year. You might be able to finish
no
eighth.
doubt. It's sick. It is sick. Don't forget our friends over at Total Diamond Performance. Total Diamond Performance. I've been talking to Matt Mastretta over at Total Diamond Performance, and they've got a lot of. They got a lot of excitement going on. The Baton Rouge facility, bigger and better. I saw them over at the bank and celebrating the loan and all that good stuff. And, we're right around, gets ready for the travel ball, tournament ball. And the Christmas camps are going on this Christmas. So to register, Nick at tdpbaseball.com. But December 21st through 23rd, that's a Saturday, Sunday, Monday camp. We got December 26th through 28th, which is Thursday, Friday, Saturday camp. And another Sunday, Monday, Tuesday camp, 29th through 31st. And then another Thursday, Friday, Saturday. With Christmas and New Year's falling on Wednesday, we've kind of split them up. So separate 3-day camps. We split into 7U to 10U or 11U to 14U. It's our holiday skills camp over at Total Diamond Performance. And it's not a babysitting deal. It's not. They're going to give your tournament ball player, your travel ball player, a little extra edge so they can have more success and enjoy it more. So, again, our format allows players to receive detailed instruction on skill sets that will assist them in becoming the complete baseball player. Contact Nick Schneider, Nick at tdpbaseball.com. Total Diamond Performance Christmas holiday camps.
Live at Big Mike's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here at Big Mike's again tomorrow. It is Pictures for the Kids with Santa and the Grinch starting at 6:30. And we're going into the holiday season. Electric Rendezvous on stage on Saturday. They will be closed Christmas Day, but coming back for line dancing the night after Christmas. And Titanium Rain on December the 27th. Gift cards now available with $25 getting you $5 off, $50 getting you $10, and $100 getting you $20 here at Big Mike's. You watch Army Navy?
Yes.
On Saturday?
Yeah, double winner, man.
Blake Horvath.
Looked pretty good, huh?
Yeah, he outplayed Bryson Daly in this game. Navy controlled this thing really throughout. And I thought it was one of the more entertaining Army-Navy games. This is the most points they've scored in quite a while for the two teams combined.
Yep.
And
well, you had two capable passers, even though they held Army, I think, under 200 yards. But Horvath has been every bit as good as Daly this year, but he got hurt. And, he got knocked out in the first quarter of the Tulane game. They got shut out in that game. They got shut out the next game with East Carolina when he was out, and then they scored all those points in a crazy over win in that game. But that was on Black Friday. But he's been great. I thought the line was completely out of whack. I thought it was recency bias. I would have taken plus 6.5 no matter who's playing. And also, Tulane shut them out, and Tulane got housed by Army. But Tulane was cold, and some of the reports and some of the Army players, when they saw what they were trying to overdo it and come out there with no undersleeves or just kind of like, all right, it's on their mind, and they played cold, But they also, that's an extra game for Army. And a guy that's running, that's a little bit of a beating. But also, that line should have been 3 or 3.5 even. But it was way out of whack. And so over in Navy, and the first drive of the game, Navy took it, boom, right down the field. Did they convert a fourth down? Or was a key third down, that screen pass to the right side? Yeah, the fourth down was perfectly executed, and they were on their way, Charlie. So then what was the one with the lineman came in? When it was an 8-point game late, and they hit him, was a tackle eligible?
Yeah.
Oh, so, yeah.
Yeah. I had quit watching by that point. It's something else going on, so I saw it on the highlights.
He was a backstory. There is they let him on the kickoff coverage team. Finally, he wanted to be on. He was aggravating the heck out of him. They said
right.
If you can get up to a speed of 20 miles an hour. So this big old lineman's been trying to get to 20 miles an hour all year. And so that's where they put him. Yeah. He was tackle eligible, and that kind of put the game away.
Well, it was a fake punt, wasn't it?
It was a fake punt? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was a fake punt, yeah. I did see that. The other thing was Army had played about as close to a perfect football game as you could against Tulane. They had no turnovers. They had no penalties. They had no punts. They had no they only threw the ball twice. They had no incompletions. I mean, you can't – to keep that up over 4 quarters of football is almost impossible, much less to carry over, even in a game that's got this much emotion in it. So that was another reason that I like Navy in the game. Although I wouldn't have been surprised if Army would have won a close game. We liked Navy in this one. By the way, Army is going to be in the Independence Bowl, but now against La Tech.
Yeah.
Because Marshall had so many players. No, I give the Independence Bowl credit for scrambling around. We know we've helped them promote that game before. Missy Setters, whose husband Ross played at LSU, has been the director of that bowl for a long time. And, they did a great job. For the Independence Bowl, this is 2 conference champions, in Marshall and Army. They had a matchup with 2 conference champions for what is not exactly, an upper-tier revenue bowl. And then Marshall's got all these guys in the transfer portal, so they get out. So they had to scramble around, and they get La Tech. That's about as good as you can do. A lot of these teams have dispersed, the ones that are not bowl eligible. They got a ton of kids in the transfer portal. You got coaches coming and going. To find a team that's whole.
They're worried about teams that are even in the playoff losing guys in the transfer portal. Because
a lot of them are.
Yeah.
A lot. I think every team that's in the playoff has at least one guy in the transfer portal. Penn State's backup quarterback yesterday put himself in the transfer.
So why is the timing? Of course, you would try and adjust the timing, and the timing is what? Well, you have semesters. And at what point did they just say, well, we're giving them their grades anyway. Why don't we just screw the semester thing? And you come in the second week or whatever. I mean.
Well, you could put the transfer portal into January, which I think is what Lane Kiffin is arguing, that make everybody stick around through the bowl games and then put yourself into the transfer portal, and you can still get into a school before the spring semester starts later in the month of January. And that may happen, but it's not the rule right now. So you get this backup quarterback for Penn State that says, man, look, I got to get going. I got somewhere else to go. So imagine, Jimmy, if Drew Allar takes a shot in the first
like he did against Wisconsin.
Yeah, in the first.
They needed that guy, and that guy played well for him.
And then Penn State, all of a sudden, in a playoff game, one drive in is down to their third-string quarterback.
Oh, I
mean,
you better have a Cardell Jones or a Ryan Perrilloux around. They're going to keep your hopes going.
And and where do most of those guys go now? I mean, if the transfer portal had been here's a good what if for when Hunt does what if Wednesdays. What if the transfer portal had existed in 2015? Was it that Ohio State won with Jones? I think
they beat Alabama in Oregon. I think
it was 2015.
They were underdog in both games.
But anyway, what if the transfer portal had existed in its current form back then? Would Cardell Jones have even been on Ohio State? Yeah, that's what I think too. He would have transferred out of there. Here's another interesting story I wanted to run by you.
Maybe Charlie, it would have been a tough call because he finished the conference championship game. I mean, that's where he broke through. He had his unbelievable game.
That's right.
So against Wisconsin, and they leapfrogged TCU because then they became a conference champion and they won by a gazillion points.
So back the scenario up a week. Let's say he hadn't played in the conference championship game. Would he have stuck around for the playoffs?
I don't know.
I don't either. That's a good what if. Here's one. I wanted to run this one by you. We know that Brian Kelly last week donated $1 million towards LSU's effort, NIL effort, and asked the fans to match the $1 million. Today, Mike Norvell at Florida State agreed to a one-year restructured contract that includes a $4.5 million contribution to help launch a new university initiative aimed at raising money for revenue sharing. And
sounds like they wanted to restructure his deal, but they said
wanted to fire him probably, but they couldn't afford to. Crazy as it sounds after the 13-0 last year, but you did hear a little bit. I thought it was ridiculous to talk about firing the guy.
What should expectations be at Florida State, Charlie?
You should be in the top 3 in the ACC at least, I think. Mm-hmm. You're one of the
top.
But,
so the committee, and listen, we got a more competitive game. Alabama gave Michigan a better game than Florida State could have at that point. But, I mean, they still got screwed. I mean, you went undefeated. I mean, and And you actually played Clemson on the road during the regular season. Not like SMU this year, who escaped playing Clemson, Miami, or Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. I mean, you actually had to play Miami last year. They had to play Florida State. They had to play LSU. And that's, I mean, that was not one of these cake paths like we've seen out of Indiana this year, SMU, or even Miami. What's Clemson's best win? What's Penn State's best win? They Florida State, so they got screwed, but it killed their program. So others like, hey, there's no honor in recruiting. Man, wait a minute. You go into there, you're going to go undefeated, you're still going to get left home. They don't think Florida State ain't what it used to be. So it killed them in their roster build. They extended their season, and it's about it. I never expected 2-10.
I didn't either.
One win over Cal and another win over, I don't know, like Chattanooga or something like that. I don't.
It was a 1 in
Alabama, A&M, or
something. It was a 1-10 team. It might have. I forgot who it was. Doesn't matter.
It was not a Division I team.
Charleston Southern.
It was not a Division I
right.
team.
I think it was Charleston Southern.
Chattanooga Tech. I don't know.
The amount got my attention. Norvell is scheduled to make $9.9 million in 2025. This is almost half of his.
And how many years left does he have?
Well, they did an extension through 31 last year. Yeah.
So $10 million. How much he's given up?
4.5. I mean, 45% of your salary for the effort here, boss. Wherever you are, whatever you make, if your boss came to you and said, "Hey, we need 45% of your salary next year to keep this operation going,"
I wonder if they were fired him, how much he was entitled.
That's a good question. I don't have that. I don't have that here, but Florida State's telling you to get to the $20.5 million in revenue sharing, they needed the coach to pony up 20% of it. Okay, and or 20, actually closer to 25% of it. That's a big hunk of change, man. I mean, it's not like Norvell's Elon Musk or anything. I mean, the man's wealthy. He's doing well. He's not going to starve. But they just came and asked him for 45% of his salary back so that they can fund this thing.
But without knowing the numbers, Charlie, that way we need to know, like, okay, you're not going to make this money anyway, so you might as well just put it toward here. We won't fire you. I mean, there's some kind of give and take, but that's a big number. I mean, and it's almost like they may have paid attention to what LSU did when getting creative with this. So it's some sort of settlement. I mean, he's given up some money, but if had they moved on from him, he probably wouldn't have been making this much, on a yearly basis entitled, like when Les Miles in the Arkansas deal and his attorney used it he wasn't going there, but he used it that you had to pay the whole part of all of his contract and not just like 50%, 60%, or 70%, whatever it was, just because you were unhappy and you went without cause. I don't know.
Nothing's off the table when it comes to this stuff. Tennessee's already added the surcharge to their tickets. It's going straight to the revenue sharing. I was told this. I don't know this. Max, you might be able to look it up, that Ohio State actually has donation centers, like when you enter the stadium.
Charlie, we don't go to the games anymore, but it's every time out. It's constant. All the stadiums are, please support to the
I'm talking about buckets.
the Grove.
I'm talking about throw cash in, not cash, but throw some donations in the bucket.
Everything's done on your phone now.
Yeah. Scott Woodward told me at the beginning of the season, we did a preseason interview, hey, listen, signage in the stadium, signage on the field, nothing is off the table. You're asking your coach for money. It's like, wow, does this have a breaking point? We always thought at some point it wouldn't. It never has.
Why are they going to control themselves when they can't control themselves on coaching contracts and facility expenses? Why are they going to?
Even COVID didn't stop them from firing coaches.
Okay, but
nobody in the stadiums.
You have they just keep leaning and leaning. What they want is, like, even Texas with the numbers that they have, they want more, just a little bit. Just give the big deals 100 for every alum. That's what they're trying to get, instead of those 10 boosters that give them, that they lean on, over and over and over again for everything. So, but get a draft. Get your top 60 teams. Put a league. Let's make this thing a draft. and you have and you slotted money, and you can have you get salary cap. But
relegate teams to
good
the
luck getting on the same page and regulating this thing.
Nah, too many people with too many different interests.
Yes, at different levels of commitment as well. Don't forget our friends at MR Property Group. My good friends Miriam Del Rio and Remy Curry doing a great job over at MR Property Group. They're LSU alums. They're big LSU sports fans. And the great thing is, it's nice to go through this experience, whether you're buying, selling, or investing in real estate, any type of real estate deal, to do it with somebody that has common interest in you. We get it. At MR Property Group, we're here to serve you, being client-centric, not forcing our preferences onto you, but when you really don't want that or when you're ready for it, we understand that there are no dumb questions in this process. It's a big deal. We've got a great track record for the seller, and we can negotiate just that right price or certain conditions or allowances when you are a seller as well. MR Property Group with Keller Williams, Red Stick Partners in Baton Rouge, 230-4242, 230-4242.
Live at lunch, live at Big Mike's, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
202 yards for Denver yesterday.
202?
202.
Yeah, if he doesn't fumble the ball there crossing the goal line, we're talking about Pro Bowl level players just doing the unthinkable. I don't know. It's unbelievable.
I'm sorry, 193 because the team passing yards
so
had
under
a negative
200 yards, and
they
won going away, and they would have been down. That was the difference in them winning or losing. Critical game for their playoff chances.
Might make an appearance in no class tomorrow.
What do we call it?
Low-hanging fruit.
God.
I gotta get more creative than that one. It's just too easy. Chiefs say Patrick Mahomes has a high ankle sprain, but, quote, from Adam Schefter, they don't think it's bad. How come that seems to accompany every high ankle sprain? Well, yeah, but it's not too bad.
But it lingers, and do you
high
want to risk?
Do
you want to risk that? I mean,
month to 6 weeks, man.
No, you got to play your back up, and then you can decide as it goes
how important
that number one seed is.
Yeah. Thanks to the folks here at Big Mike's. Again, Christmas pictures with Santa and the Grinch tomorrow night at 6:30, and Electric Rendezvous this Saturday. Gift cards are now available. Tomorrow from Mike Anderson. Stay tuned for Hunt on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.